In this video, we are talking about how you can become more confident in front of the camera. Let's go. G'day, Paul from Small Crown Productions here. Welcome to the Business of Art. On this channel, I talk about business stuff for creative people because, let's face it, we don't get taught that. So if that's something that you are interested in, then this channel may be somewhere that you can hang out for a while. Quick editor's caveat. I'm just sitting down editing this video and realizing how daggy this t-shirt looks on camera. So I just wanted to apologize up front for the lint and horribleness of my t-shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts, but I didn't realize how bad it looked, and it's going to be a bit distracting if I don't call it out right from the start. So there it is. And of course, this is just the process telling me there's one more thing I need to think about, and that'll make more sense later in the video. Now, I've worked as a professional actor for almost 20 years now, so I've got a few tips and strategies that I can give you that may help you feel more comfortable in front of the camera. Let's get the most obvious one out of the way first. Speaking directly to a camera lens is weird. It's weird. It just is. Pretty much no one starts out comfortable in front of a camera, particularly when you are trying to talk to an audience through a lens when there is nobody else here in the room. And you're trying to sound as relaxed as you can so that it's like a conversation that I'm having directly with you, either in this room or in the room where you're at. It's just not a natural thing to do. So to deal with this, there are two things that I would suggest are the best place to start, and that is breathing and practice. Naturally, when we get uncomfortable or feel awkward, there is actually tension that enters our body. We tense up in certain places. Tension is the enemy of freedom. It is the enemy of creativity. It is the enemy of flow. So just like if you have a garden hose that's spraying out water, if you put a kink in it and add tension to the flow of that water, that flow stops. That's the same for us with our creativity and our ability to communicate. Our physical and our emotional bodies are very connected. It's why we cry when we're upset. It's why we get tense when we're in an emotional situation. It's because our physical body has a reaction to those situations. Now, as an actor, one of the things that I've learned is that we have the ability to choose our response. So we have a physical emotional reaction, but we as humans have the ability to choose how we then respond after that. So in that moment where that awkward feeling kicks in, you're sitting down in front of a camera, your body is going to start to tense up. So what you can do is take a big, deep sigh of relief. Breathe in and breathe out. And that sigh of relief is called a sigh of relief because what it does is it helps us release tension. It helps us strip the tension out of our body. That's why we feel so much better after we do that. And you might need 3, 4, 5 of those. But that sense of breathing out, that real deep sigh that we breathe out, helps to remove tension from our body. And that lack of tension then adds to our ability to be comfortable and get back into our flow state. Now, the other thing that you can do is practice. It's really simple. It's just pull out your phone and actually turn on the camera and start talking to the camera lens. And it's important that you talk to the camera lens because on your peripheral vision, you will see the image of yourself talking. And I actually do recommend that you practice with that playing underneath you so that you get used to shielding out the distraction of things around you to stay focused on that lens, because the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Practice is the key. So let's talk about fear of the camera. If you've ever taken a selfie, sat in a Zoom call at work and interacted with other people, if you've ever been in a photograph at a wedding or a tourist location somewhere that you've traveled to and not even really thought twice about the camera, then it's not a fear of the camera that you have, it's a fear of what you perceive to be on the other side of that camera. And if it's fear, then that all sits within ourselves. And that's a beautiful thing, because the only thing we can truly change is ourselves, which means that we can get through this. Now, that fear manifests itself in different forms, and you might know it by different names. The first one is imposter syndrome. This is really, really common. If you have ever felt this, you are not alone. I feel it all the time. In fact, I read somewhere that pretty much anyone who is pushing themselves out of their comfort zone is likely to feel imposter syndrome. It is our body's response to us putting ourselves in a situation beyond what we are comfortable with. And that is actually the only place that growth happens. The imposter syndrome often is manifesting itself in these ways of thinking that we're not good enough, or we're not at a level that people want to hear from us. And one of the things that I came across that really helped me, and the way that I interpret it, is understanding that I'm not an expert and being okay with that. There are people who know everything that I know and more in every single aspect of my life, whether it's my work as an actor, whether it's my work as a producer, a director, whether it's as a fighter on the medieval fighting field, which is the hobby that I have, even though I'm probably in the top 10% of fighters in my country. There are people who are way better than me. And that's okay. So when it comes to sharing your knowledge and sharing your information, accept that there are people who are far more advanced in this field than you. But with that, we need to accept that there are people who are nowhere near as advanced as we are. That there are people who are still where we were a year, 2 years, 3 years ago, and they need the knowledge that we've learned over that period of time. And that is who you can be an expert to. So you might not be everyone's expert, but you can be someone's expert. Another way that this manifests itself is a fear of failure. And that is really common as well. That sense that, I stumble over my words, or I didn't quite get that right, or I don't really know what I'm sharing. And one of the things that I've learned in my creative walk is that if I'm setting out on a big vision, a big picture idea of something that I'm looking to do, there will be obstacles that get in my way. Now, I can look at those obstacles as a failure and that I didn't reach my goal, or I can actually flip it on its head and understand that those obstacles are actually the process telling me that I haven't quite learned something that I need to learn in order to get to that next step. Don't look at these obstacles as obstacles that are a mark of your failures. Look at these obstacles as markers in the road that there is actually something that you need to learn before you can do that. And so if you look at that obstacle and go, well, why can't I do that? Well, it's because I need to learn this aspect. And then if you go to reach that point and you find that, well, actually I can't get there either, that's not another failure. That is the process telling you there's still something else to learn. You can look at this backwards retreat to where you are as a series of failures, or you can look at them as the process telling you, well, actually, the next thing you need to do is this thing back here. And if you do that thing, well, then you'll be that step ahead, and then you can start on the next thing. It's actually a really great way to get a roadmap of what your journey needs to be if you go to do that. So this sense of failing is something that I want you to embrace. It's something I've certainly embraced. I have very little fear in failing these days. And that is because that reaction happened and I chose to respond in that way. And that's been so crucial for me to be able to flip this on its head. So now this sense that I'm not good enough, that I don't have the ability to do it, it's probably true. I don't necessarily have the ability to do it, but the process will help me understand what it is I do need to do to be able to get that next step forward. And this brings me to the two kind of main things that I think are really crucial, or certainly have been crucial for me in being able to find a way through this weirdness, being in front of a camera and creating content and all that sort of thing. And it comes down to me to preparation and positioning. Preparation is really easy. It's obviously how much have you prepared what you're going to deliver. A lot of the times we get in front of a camera and we stumble over what we're saying because we actually haven't prepared enough. We get in front of a camera and we start to feel self-conscious because we haven't done enough research to be able to actually deliver with clarity what it is that we're trying to share. We get in front of a camera and we feel uncertain or awkward because we actually haven't taken the time to really center ourselves and get that breath into our body and relax. So preparation is key. There is that mental preparation. There is the physical preparation of getting relaxed, but there's also the research and the actual preparation of the content that you're going to share. The other thing that I mentioned is positioning. And basically this is just owning where you are in that spectrum of knowledge. So for me, there are videos that I've made where I will openly say, look, this is based on my research and my experience. I know that there are other people out there that are more expert at this than I am, but this is where I'm at and this is what I've learned. If you know something different, let me know in the comments below so that I can actually position where I am. And I have found that to be one of the most freeing kind of statements that I can make when I get in front of a video, because I've taken away any expectation in the viewer that I am the top person in my field in this. And really, that's my position in every single one of these videos that I make. I know there are people out there way more experienced than me at creating a creative business and earning money and you know, negotiating and all these things. I've got a lot of experience in those things at the levels that I've worked at, and I have information to share. And if I position it in that light so that people understand, this is my background, this is my history, you know, I've got 20 years management experience behind me in 5 different sectors. I've got 20 years experience as a professional actor. I've got all these years as a professional producer and a director. And if I position it based on my skills and knowledge, then it is just so much more freeing to be able to just talk casually about what it is that I'm sharing. So there it is. Fear is an internal thing, and we can choose our response, preparation, position. Just get out there and practice. Do those things, and I guarantee, that's not a light word to say, but I guarantee you will get better. See you on the next one.